Hey everyone, and welcome back to Rank and File Sports. And today we're going to be hopping right back into our series where we are predicting every single Power 4 team's record by the start of the college football season. Today with the Baylor Bears. Now, Baylor is a team that generally has a couple off seasons before randomly having a really solid year where they're contending in the Big 12. The question for this year is which type is it going to be for the Bears? The schedule doesn't look too terrible with an even split of home and away games and only two opponents being ranked in our rank and file top 25. The first three games of the season are all non-conference opponents. Even though Baylor and Utah are both in the Big 12, that game was scheduled before Utah made the move to join the conference, and it remained as an out-of-conference game, so it won't affect the Big 12 standings. The first game of the year against Tarleton State at home should be the lone guaranteed win of the year for Baylor. And then that road trip to Utah is going to be an incredibly difficult game. The Utes are going to be the favorites in the Big 12 this season, and overall are a very talented team led by Cam Rising. I just don't really see a way that Baylor can pull out a win on the road. Air Force at home is no gimme either. The Falcons are a talented team in the Mountain West Conference. They will be finishing in the top half of the conference standings. And definitely don't expect Baylor to blow out Air Force. This is going to be a really close game that Air Force will have a chance to win. A road trip to Colorado is how the Bears start the Big 12 schedule. And while Colorado may be a bit overrated, they are still a pretty decent team. They should be finishing close to 6 wins this season. And overall, it's going to be a tough game for Baylor to win on the road. BYU at home should be a bit more manageable as the Cougars are a decent team. But as far as all the 6 and 7 win teams go, BYU might not be quite up to that standard. So they might be a bit more on Baylor's level, and a game that Baylor can probably pull out a win at home. Iowa State on the road on October 5th is the last game before their first bye week. And this is a solid Cyclones team. They've got some experience coming back. And just overall, they should be another one of those 7-win teams right around that mark. This is going to be a really tough game for Baylor to win on the road as well. Out of the bye week, the schedule doesn't get much better. Another really solid team with Texas Tech, looking to push that 7-8 win mark this year. This one's also on the road, so another tough Big 12 game for the Bears. Oklahoma State is by no means any easier either on October 26th. The Cowboys are going to be one of the favorites along with Utah in the Big 12 Conference. This is going to be an incredibly difficult game. Baylor's probably not going to have much of a chance even though they are at home. TCU is a bit more manageable, but still going to be a pretty difficult game for Baylor to win. Following the second bye week, it's still really not getting much better. A road trip to a solid West Virginia team with a good defense is not going to be easy by any means. The most manageable game in the Big 12 is probably this road trip to Houston. Now, Houston is most likely going to end up being the worst team in the conference. If not, they'll be second worst, only to Cincinnati. There's really just not a good team this year. Baylor should be able to get a win there. But finally, the game against Kansas, Jalen Daniels is a really talented quarterback. It's going to be tough for Baylor to win this one, but last game of the season at home, this might be one where they could shock a lot of people and pull out an upset. So overall, we rated their schedule at a difficulty of 3.5 out of 10. Taking a look at the schedule recap, you'll notice that a lot of these games for Baylor do fall into the toss-up category. That's between 35 and 65%. There's 8 total games that are considered toss-ups for Baylor, along with a guaranteed win against Tarleton State and just barely a likely win against Air Force. So there are a lot of winnable games on the schedule. But it's also really hard to see Baylor winning most of those games. We do have them losing a majority of those toss-ups. So we have them starting 1-0 with that win over Tarleton State before dropping the road game to Utah and bouncing back in their last non-conference game with a win over Air Force. That one's definitely not a guarantee, though. Air Force could easily win this game. After that, in Big 12 play, things don't really get much easier. We have the Bears losing 7 straight games at Colorado, at home against BYU, at Iowa State. Between the 2 bye weeks, it's a road trip to Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, and TCU at home. All of those games are definitely winnable, but we couldn't really pick Baylor in most of those. I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to make a bowl game, but this seems very likely as well. After that second bye week, they lose at West Virginia, pull off the road victory at Houston to get their 3rd win, and we do actually have the Bears pulling off that final upset against Kansas, which will be a really, really big upset if it was to happen. But that being said, the predicted record is only 4-8. Adding up all of the percentages, the projected record sits at 5.35 and 6.65. So not quite a bowl game, but it does favor another win somewhere on the schedule. BYU at home is probably the most likely, maybe TCU. If I had to pick one of those two, I'd probably go with BYU. But both of those are definitely winnable games. Baylor could maybe win both and push their way to 6-6, but we do like them closer here to 4-8. FPI has the Bears projected to go 5.8 and 6.2 with a 2.3% chance to make the college football playoffs. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you all in our next video.